you guys from last week back at practice?
Darius will be back. McLeod still won't practice today. Everybody else will be practicing.
What went into the decision to go with Greg Joseph?
Thought he was the best option for us. So he'll come out and kick. Had a good kick last time we played against him, 61-yarder. But again, he's had a lot of, he's been on a lot of teams. We'll come out here, we'll get the operation down with the holder, with the snapper, and see how it goes.
Daves, other than personnel, obviously, how much has Jim Schwartz's defenses changed now that he's with Cleveland versus when he was with Philly?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Coach Schwartz. He's been doing it a long time. Started way back in Cleveland with that group of young coaches. Tennessee for a long time. Obviously the head coach of Detroit, Philadelphia, Buffalo. He's always had good success. I mean, he plays a certain style that I think he believes in, and they do it at a high level. That wide 9 technique, 4 guys rushing off the edge, good rushers. In the back end, there's a variety of things that they do, but he's always been pretty good at calling up defenses.
Right. You've known Malik now for a while, getting to know him and everything.
Yeah.
How do you think he's going to handle this, the drop and the negativity and things like that?
Try to focus on the stuff that we control. That's for everybody. So I have a lot of confidence in Malik. He also made a lot of plays and for us. Confident young man. Keep on building.
He's not a guy who's probably dealt with a lot of failure in his.
I think that'd be a good question for him. But I do know he's got the right mindset. Controls the things he can control. Worked extremely hard. Knows the game plans inside and out, and have a lot of confidence in him.
Dave, how much does third down percentage from an either offense or defensive standpoint carry over from one game to the next, or are they just all independent things for you?
Yeah, I'd say they're independent. Each team plays a little bit differently. You're in different situations in terms of field position, maybe in a game, maybe you have more third and short, more third and medium, third and long. Again, it's something that, we practice quite often, and, we'll continue to do that.
Is Dory ramped all the way up? And if so, do you expect him to have a bigger role?
I think he's getting there. I think he feels pretty good. So, again, we'll see. We have Flott and Banks, and we threw a Dory in there in certain situations. We'll see how it goes this week.
Do you want to see desperation from your team this weekend?
One more time?
Do you want to see desperation from your team?
No, I want to see consistency like we talk about every week. Go in, prepare the right way, come out, play a good football game, do good in situations, play together. Each week is its own week, and we'll just focus on the Browns this week.
Dave, how do you think your defense has been adjusting to Bowen's scheme?
Yeah, well, good in the red zone last week. I thought, good in the first game. There was some things last game, really in every area, but I think Shane's done a really good job, leading his group, our group, the defensive group. Obviously, certain things we got to, correct and fix, and that's what he'll do, and we'll do.
Did you mention O2 to your team at all this week?
Yeah, I'd say once we talk in our meetings, we keep in our meetings.
I mean, but is records and 0-2 versus going 1-2 or 0-3? I mean, is that up there or is that down there?
Yeah, I'd say the focus is on doing everything you can do this week, like we try to do every week. You put as much preparation time of going back and studying tape as a coaching staff, trying to scheme things up in all 3 phases, and then the players come in and you have meetings with them, and you really got to focus on the game you're playing this week, which is, the Cleveland Browns, who, they're 1-1. They just played a good game down in Jacksonville, played well on defensively, started off the game fast, made some good plays early on in the game, got off to a lead. The first game, it was a competitive game, I'd say all the way almost to the end of the first half, and, kind of slipped away for them. So the second half, Turpin returns a punt there when they're a backed up situation. Now you're playing out of sorts on offense, against a really good defensive team that can get after the passer. They turned the ball over twice, gave up a punt return. So that's where our focus is on, the Cleveland Browns.
Do you change practice workloads this week with a short week and a game coming next Thursday? I wouldn't say a ton, Pat. That's something that we've talked about. Aaron Wellman has done a great job since he's been here with practice schedules, reps, pulling back, adding more. We've kind of allotted
I'd say the last 2 weeks, the amount of reps, the accumulative of reps to, you have another one pretty soon right after this. So it's really been accumulative since the beginning of the season.
Kept 6 or 7 guys in the pass back, more than most teams in the league.
One more time?
You kept like 6 or 7 guys in, do more max protect maybe than other teams. The way your O-line has played, does that give you more confidence that maybe you don't have to do that as much from what you've seen from the O-line?
Well, there was a reason for it too. It wasn't necessarily, it was, some action stuff where you're making the run and the pass look the same. So, again, we used quite a bit of action, I would say, last week that complemented the runs that we were running. So, again, maybe it's more of a drop. I mean, you can use empty, you can go drop back, you can do a variety of things. But last week, based on, what we were getting and what we wanted to do as the game kind of evolved, that's probably why the numbers are high.
You were asked about Bowen before. The first thing you mentioned was that they did well in the red zone.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Obviously, you don't want to give up 7 field goals every game, but is that philosophically where you want to be, giving up 3s and not 7s, and kind of buckling down in that red zone?
Yeah, absolutely. 4-point plays are critical as a game, 3-point game. Playing well in the red zone, you got to do a good job of keeping them out of the red zone more, and continue to evolve offensively and score when we're down in the red zone. Which the first game we didn't, last game we did. So the consistency factor early on in the year in both sides we'll continue to work on.
Kind of like Myles Garrett, what challenges does it present? How do you prepare to go up against a player like that?
Well, he's one of the best ones in the league. They've lined him up in a variety of spots. He's explosive, he's strong, he's powerful, he's got good size, he can run, he takes the ball away, he gets it away from the quarterback. You do the best job you can on practicing with the look team, but it's never the same until you're playing a player like that. He's a high-level player in this league. He's been for a long time. He's one of the really good ones. He's certainly a challenge.
With the way that Neighbors is producing, do you sense at some point somebody's going to say, we're just not going to let him beat us, and they're going to force you to go elsewhere?
Yeah, it could be. I think that's a good question for the defensive coordinators. Again, however the game plans out, then you adjust if, again, whatever the targets were, that was a byproduct of what we were getting too as well. So see how it goes game to game.
Is he a player that can transcend that?
What's that?
There's some guys that if the other team takes somebody away, you kind of stuck.
Yeah, I'd say we're in game 2. Again, I have a lot of confidence in him. A lot more football to be played here.
Do you find, your head coaching experience so far that you have to approach a team differently after a close loss versus a close victory? I mean, sometimes the game is almost the same,
sure,
but 1 or 2 plays and you lose. So do you find you go in a little different to them depending on that?
Yeah, I don't think there's a carbon copy, method. Again, you look at how you played. You are truthful with how you played, of the things that you need to be better at, and really all 4 phases: coaching, special teams, defense, and offense. And you talk to them about what you see, how can we improve it. You really want solutions on days after or leading up to the week of why we're doing what we're doing game plan wise. What do they do? This is why we got this in. These are the formations we're using. We'd rather do this personnel and this. This is what we want to do on kickoff. We'd rather kick it deep. We'd rather not. Those are all the conversations you have. You spend a lot of time here. You put everything you got into it, and you try to be as truthful and honest as you can when you go through, whether it's a win, whether it's a loss. But consistency is important too. You don't want to ride a roller coaster.
Take a couple more. What do you see when you go up against a quarterback like Deshaun Watson at this point of his career?
Well, I think Deshaun's a good player. I mean, they started out fast against Jacksonville last week. He had a 17-play drive. They utilized him in a variety of ways. He can operate the empty game well, where he gets it out quick. They use him in action game. They can zone read him. He's done that as well. The scramble, the loose plays. He's a strong player to bring down. You saw that against Micah Parsons when in the Dallas game, where he scrambles, gets to the right. He's got the ball in one hand, wave around, throws it down the field strong. He's played the game for a long time. I got a lot of respect for Deshaun's game.
Just in addition to Myles Garrett, what sort of challenges does the Cleveland defense present you guys?
A lot. They can get after the passer. They're a penetrating front. They play, they play a lot of man-to-man, and then they mix in their zones. They do a good job of disguising. They've been effective. I think Coach Schwartz, like I said before, does a great job. And then they got good players. Ward's a heck of a corner. All 3 levels, they're well coached.
What did you see from Daniel this past week that you didn't see in week 1?
Each week's different, but I told you before, I thought he improved. We'll continue to try to do that. Made good decisions, threw the ball where he needed to throw the ball, and that's what we'll try to get him to do this week.